Good evening. Welcome to SEC Baseball Reaction as we see who gets a hosting bid. Boy, there's been a lot of debate about that, and I've spent, the better part of the weekend sorting through all that, and it is not clear. We're going to find out for real in just a minute. Graham Doty joining me. I think he's pulling up the announcement platform as we speak. Is it on Twitter or is it going to be on the NCAA's website? They used to tweet these out.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both, but I am on the Twitter X feed at NCAA Baseball.
Okay, that's the way they usually do it. So they announce them alphabetically, and here's what I've got. Okay,
You think they're doing alphabetical and not 1
they
through 16?
they used to. Well, they announced the seating order tomorrow. I think they
Okay.
usually announce these alphabetically by city. I think that's how they do it. In other words, the Vanderbilt regional would be Nashville, so you might see Texas up first because it's Austin. I don't know if anything is actually Auburn would be before Austin in the alphabet. So yeah, I think that's how they've done it in the past. At least a few years ago, they did it that way. I don't know if they still do it that way or not. But I think the seeds are announced tomorrow themselves. I've got a guess at all of it. And we might even do a little build a bracket. You heard of Build a Bear? We might build a bracket right here and do our regional pairings. Oh, wow. Tennessee had not heard if it was hosting as of 8:20. And let me tell you quickly before it goes live here in a minute. This is what I've got in this order. I've got your hosts. Vanderbilt, Texas, Arkansas, North Carolina. That's 1 to 4. 5 through 8, Georgia, Auburn, LSU, Coastal Carolina. Followed by Ole Miss, Clemson, Florida State, and Oregon. And then Tennessee, Oregon State. I've got Southern Miss at 15. I got some qualms about that. And TCU at 16. Southern Miss has someone on the committee. Personally, I think Alabama deserves a bid. I don't think it's going to get it, at least for hosting. And Southern Miss and Texas Christian, if you kind of group them together, Southern Miss beat Texas Christian the 2 times they played, which is why I have Southern Miss slotted at 15 and TCU slotted at 16. Either way, we will find out soon enough. As I like to tell everybody, I'm not a god nor a mind reader. So it's just me trying to look at my own stuff, do a little bit of attempt to be a mind reader. Because if it was me, I would have Alabama in there ahead of a couple of these teams. But anyway.
Let me ask you this. When do you think all these decisions were made? Do you think it was today, or do you think they had it wrapped up like a day or two ago?
I don't have any earthly idea.
I just find it hard to believe like they would wait until Ole Miss and Vanderbilt to see if Ole Miss wins and potentially make Ole Miss a top 8 seed. I just don't think they would wait until today. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think to me, like I said, I think coming into the week or the weekend, there were 12 teams that I had solidly in there. And those were, I think the first 12 I read. Yeah, they were. Well, yes. And then I had Tennessee and Ole Miss playing their way in this week, and Ole Miss really moved up based on that RPI jump. And those RPI quad 1 wins, I think they ended with 19.
The most of any team. Yeah.
Yeah. Most. So that was too loud to not host. And yeah, I think, TCU made it to the title game of the Big 12 tournament, got beat 2-1 by Arizona, and Southern Miss made it to the title game of the Sun Belt. Now, I had UCLA falling out. UCLA got beat by Nebraska today in Omaha. I just think 3-7 quad 1 is not a host. I think D1 or grade 2, RPI, KPI have them in there.
Yeah.
I may have, for all I know, I may have nailed this, but if I did, I promise you it's being lucky more than anything, because again, you're trying to read what somebody else might be doing.
Right. We got some comments here. Drew Alvarez, appreciate your nice comment. It wasn't really like a group of LSU fans. I think everybody
It
kind of
was just
knows
one.
who it was.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we appreciate your kind words. Thanks for watching. I think we're all high on LSU. And Wicked Brew, you're not lying. I just watched Ole Miss softball beat the Hogs in Fayetteville to go to the World Series for the first time ever. Okay. So as of 37 seconds ago, wow, they just released everything all at once.
Oh, okay.
I thought they were going to go one by one. So
Okay.
how do you want me to do it?
Well, for some people joining late in the chat, they want to know what we had. This is the way I had it. Vanderbilt, Texas, Arkansas, North Carolina, Georgia, and they're not going to announce the order. North Carolina, Georgia, Auburn, LSU, Coastal, Ole Miss, Clemson, Florida State, Oregon, Tennessee, Oregon State, Southern Miss, TCU were the 16 that I predicted. I think Alabama should be in there. I think Alabama's going to be left out. All right.
Okay. We're going to go, let's go alphabetical order.
Oh, UCLA is hosting. Goodness, sorry.
Athens, so Georgia, fully filled.
Okay.
Auburn, Plainsman Park. Austin, so Texas, Fayetteville, Baum Walker, not a surprise. Oregon is in there. LSU, certainly not a surprise. Chapel Hill, Clemson, Coastal Carolina, Oregon State is in it. So you got Oregon and Oregon State. Southern Miss is in.
Is TCU the team that's out?
TCU is out. Tennessee is in. And as you said, UCLA made it. Vandy, certainly not a surprise. Ole Miss is in. And then Florida State.
Okay, so I had everything, but I had Texas Christian where I had UCLA.
So do you think that's more of a geography thing? Because UCLA, they got 3 quad 1 wins, and they did not win their conference tournament today.
Man, I don't know. I think to me, okay, UCLA was 15 RPI, 14 KPI. Those numbers were both there. It looks to me like they went straight down RPI with the exception of Southern Miss. Let's see. Yeah, because the thing I've been doing all along is adding RPI and KPI together and taking the average because I think that's a good benchmark. And UCLA averaged 15, TCU averaged 16. So what they did is they basically took the top RPI and KPI schools, except they bumped out TCU for UCLA, which is again 15 to 6 to TCU 16 there, and then bumped Southern Miss, which I had in anyway. But the other team that would have gotten left out by that sorting would have been Alabama. And Georgia Tech also was speculated as I was. You know what I wonder happened? I wonder if they made this decision before today and just figured UCLA was going to beat Nebraska in the tournament. And then, they shared the Big Ten and they won the tournament.
See, that's what I think. I just don't think that the entire committee is going to sit around and wait until today to do this. So it helps that Tennessee and Ole Miss had a very good week in Hoover. Like Ole Miss had 3 really big wins. Tennessee, I mean, they beat Bama head to head, and then who was the second game that Tennessee played that they won? So I like Tennessee, Ole Miss, big weeks, and then Southern Miss. I just chalked that one up to their athletic director is on the committee. So
yeah. You asked me, do I think it was a geography thing? I really don't think it was because I've done the math already. There's not a lot of teams that are getting into the tournament is 2s, 3s, and 4s from out west. Like Irvine is a team that's there. They'll go to UCLA now. I would almost guarantee it because they're 47 miles away.
Yeah.
So there's that. But other than that, like I'm sending teams when I'm doing this, I'm sending teams to Oregon State and Oregon. Like I've got Kansas State going to Oregon. Now that I know the host, I may recalibrate a lot of this because a lot of it, again, is on geography. But there aren't like a lot of teams that are making the tournament that are West Coast teams looking for home. Now, I will tell you one more thing, and I haven't checked the scoreboard in probably 30 minutes. You got 2 tournaments that are still unsettled. Oh, boy, and here we go. Cal Poly was up on Irvine earlier, so I went ahead for the sake of this and gave Cal Poly an auto bid based on winning the Big West, but now it's that lead has shrunk to 5-4.
What surprises you more, TCU or Georgia Tech?
Hang on, correction. Cal Poly now leads 6-4 in the ninth, so that might hold. I mean, I had TCU in and Georgia Tech out after looking at the quad records, and also that gave the Big 12 a bid, which I don't think it's got any host sites, which that wasn't really. I just thought that TCU had a better body of work, and so that's the way I went.
What does this tell you about the Big 12 conference, that they don't get anybody?
It tells you it was a very mediocre league by Big 12 standards. Yeah. Okay, no, Noah, we don't get the order of the hosts tonight. My guess is that UCLA slides in as the 16 and Southern Miss is a 15.
What's your guess on number one?
I think it's going to be Vandy.
Do you really?
Yeah, I looked at it long and hard, and there's a lot of things. Well, there's two things in Texas's favor. One is that Texas won the SEC regular season, which I think is the biggest accomplishment in college baseball right now. It did get, I think, a favorable schedule. Texas avoided Alabama, Ole Miss, South Carolina, Tennessee, and Vanderbilt. So I think that has to be a factor. Also has to be a factor that Texas didn't have Max Ballou. Their best hitter, he did miss a good bit of time, although when he came back, they didn't play as well. On the other hand, if you're looking at how a team closed, nobody closed in the country better than Vanderbilt the last 3 weeks. And there probably wasn't a host team that closed much worse than Texas.
Chris, for Vandy, like the game today, I know you and Alfred broke it down, but, they showed that graphic. Vandy's first 14 games, they just didn't hit a lot of home runs.
Mm-hmm.
I think they had like 17, 18 home runs, whatever the number was, their first 14. Last 16, they have more than doubled that. What would you attribute that to?
I think some of it's weather. I know they did change some approaches late in the season and try to drive the ball the other way a little bit. Look, I'm in Nashville for people who don't know. Man, it was cold and damp here so much of the spring. And they play in a big ballpark, so I think that was part of it. Now, last couple of weekends they played here, that park can turn in a hurry. Like when the wind blows out to right center, it can really get out, and even to left a little bit. And I think the weather warming up and the wind really gusting out a couple of days, that helped a little bit too. I think it was probably several things.
So, by the way, if you're wondering, by conference, SEC 8, ACC 3, Big 10 2, Sun Belt 2, and then Oregon State as an independent.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, we got all but one. And I really think TCU should have been over UCLA. And that's the thing. And I wonder this, too. If the Big 12 title game's played today, does all right, here we go. It's that. I knew that was going to come up. I wonder if the Big 12 title game was played today, if Texas would have gotten in TCU would have gotten in as a host.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just a rough week for the Big 12. I saw they announced they're moving their conference tournament out of the state of Texas. They're going to Arizona moving forward.
What?
Yeah. Yep.
Wow. Okay.
But yeah, I mean, to me, it shows you that Texas and Oklahoma were the top two dogs in the Big 12. Like Texas Tech, like they had a really good run, but the last couple of years, Texas Tech hasn't been, what we saw from them when they went to, like, Ole Miss went to Omaha in 2014 and played Texas Tech a couple times.
Yeah.
So and
I
then
know.
Kansas, West Virginia, like we know what their records against quad one teams are.
Yeah. Boy, West Virginia had to do a lot to blow a host, and it sure
Yeah.
did.
And then Oklahoma Oklahoma State had a disappointing season.
Yeah. I think Oklahoma State gets in. By the way, let's see. Let's see if we got a final in the Big West. We don't yet. And there was one other tournament game that was still going on. It was ASUN, Stetson, and Florida Gulf Coast. Let me check in on that one. Okay. Top 7, Florida Gulf Coast 6, Stetson 5. I have Stetson penciled in as the team winning that league. And I think if Florida Gulf Coast wins this one, they've got to beat them one more time. So still advantage Stetson, which has not lost yet. It's played 2 games and is a lot fresher. Pitching, Gulf Coast has played 3 games coming in.
Stetson's hard to beat at home. They always host that conference, by the way, mostly because of the weather.
They're going to be if they get in, they're going to be a 3. So, somebody says Tennessee Tech goes to Vandy. Tennessee Tech did not make it out of its conference tournament.
Yeah, it was.
It was rooting for him.
Yeah, it was Little Rock. Little Rock was the last team in. Like they had to wait till the last day of the regular season to clinch a spot in the conference tournament. They had 19 wins in the regular season, and they go undefeated in the conference tournament.
All right, we're going to do something fun. Spur of the moment. Thought of this a few minutes ago. Sam's mad at me for bringing up his album. Sam, I'm as sorry as you are. Maybe not as sorry as you are, but I wanted to see Tech get there.
Geez, Little Rock's RPI is 243. Oof.
Yeah. Little Rock could get sent to
Fayetteville. That's happening.
Fayetteville is Nashville is also within driving distance.
Yeah. I think they're going to do Fayetteville just because like Little Rock went there twice already this season. The Hogs beat them 10-0, 4-0. I still think it just makes too much sense.
Yeah.
Chris Curry was on staff under Van Horn, like early in Van Horn's tenure.
All right, I'm going to try something here. I didn't tell you we're going to do this. I did mention a few minutes ago, though. You want to play Build a Bracket? I got all my teams up, and we're going to sign them regionals. I've done about probably half of it, maybe. How about we put a bracket together?
Do it. Let's do it.
All right. I'm going to pull up my screen here. And I kind of like this, too. That way you guys can tell me if we got a really smart audience. And you can tell me if I missed something, whatever, which is pretty likely. But let's see. Okay. There we go. That is, I'll show you what we're looking at. I'm going to switch UCLA. Put TCU over here. Okay, there's your 1s. There's what I have as your 2s. There's what I have as your 3s. Caps are they won the regular season in the league. If it's italicized, it means they tied. I probably forgot to do some of these. And the asterisk is the auto bid. Yep. And then over here, I've got the conference champions, which I just kind of brought over here. And I just did the 4s by RPI. And then I took the rest of the auto bids, put them at the bottom of the 3s, and then there's your cut line. I had Connecticut as the last team in the tournament. So what I've done over here is I've started to put these guys in place. And again, going to be very heavy geography. Can you see all the? I guess we can't see all the way down, can we?
We got 12, and
Okay.
then a little bit of North Carolina.
Well, that's no good. Here's the rest of it. So look at what I've got so far. Tell me what you think, and then we'll assign the rest of the teams. I'll start at the top.
Can you zoom in a little bit?
Yeah, you know what I'll do? I'll do it a half screen at a time, or maybe more.
All right, yeah, that's better. So you got Vandy 1-1. I know I saw people arguing about that or discussing that in the chat earlier. Like, guys, it wouldn't surprise me just because their schedule, like they're 1 or 2 in almost everything that the
They're
committee
one
looks
in
at.
both of the key
Yeah,
metrics. Yeah.
yeah. So you got Vandy's, I'd say Cincinnati and Louisville.
Yeah.
Okay. I think the 4 seed's either going to be Little Rock or who in the MAC won the conference tournament?
Miami. I have Miami going to Knoxville because
Okay.
I think there's two places that are driving distance from Miami, and one's Nashville, one's Knoxville. I am guessing because like these are like Louisville's probably an easier 2, Cincinnati's a tougher 3, and if you're kind of S curving it, then Little Rock's driving distance, and you've got the 1 seed against the last RPI team. Could put Central Connecticut there too, and send Little Rock to Arkansas, which would also work.
You think South Carolina Upstate is going to Clemson?
Geographically, it's close. See,
Yeah.
that's a region that I may rethink because I think that one's pretty tough. I do have one thing I want to do because I didn't have UCLA hosting. I had Irvine going somewhere else. So you can just go ahead and put Irvine in with UCLA because that's going to happen. And I'm checking them
Right.
off over here as I do it.
Yeah. Fishman asked who other than Little Rock will be in the Fayetteville Regional. I mean, I can tell you, like I literally just did the OVC baseball tournament. They are all anticipating going to Fayetteville.
Okay.
Like I think they would be surprised if they went anywhere other than Fayetteville.
Let's see. Your driving distances to Arkansas. Here's the teams that are within 400 miles, which is big because then if the NCAA can bust those teams under 400, then they can avoid paying for flights. Here's the teams that are geographically within 400-mile bus rides of Arkansas: Dallas Baptist, TCU, Kansas, Oklahoma State, Kansas State, Murray State, Little Rock, and let's see. I think it makes a lot of sense to send Little Rock to Fayetteville for all the reasons that are obvious.
Yeah, not too far. So if it's Murray State, then it's got to be Little Rock to Vandy.
Murray State can go. Let's see. Here's the teams within 400 miles of Vanderbilt. You only got 1 2 seed, and that's Louisville, which is one reason I've got them there. You got 2 3 seeds. That's Western Kentucky and Cincinnati. And Cincinnati is only within 400 miles of Nashville and Knoxville. So if you're going to stick Cincinnati somewhere as a bus ride, it's one of those two.
Did Western Kentucky win today, by the way?
Yes. So they're going to be a 3.
Yeah.
Western can go within 400 miles. It can go a lot of places. It can go Vanderbilt, Georgia, Auburn, Georgia Tech, Alabama's not hosting. So I can cross Alabama out of here.
East
leave
Tennessee
Epstein.
State's going to be in this mix too.
Yeah, let's see. Okay, Western Kentucky, places it can go. Vandy, Georgia, Auburn, Tennessee.
They've been
That's
to
it.
Oxford before. They played a
Yeah, but
regional in Oxford.
okay, they are within 325. We could put them in Oxford. Or do you want to hold off on that? I mean, it's not like we can't switch these around.
Is what happened in the American? What did Tulane win?
No, East Carolina won.
Okay. All right. So I think East Carolina is probably what, Coastal? East Carolina, Coastal Carolina, or
Let's see who
Clemson
else
maybe.
could go there. Upstate could go there, right?
Upstate is literally
Upstate's
right
a
down the
4.
road from Clemson.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me see something. Because I thought see, the other issue is Kentucky can only go a couple of places.
That's if they get in, if you think they're going to make it.
And I think they are.
Even with all these, like we had 2 conferences, they're going to get 2 bids because the 1 seed lost.
There's my cut line right there, Connecticut and Cal Poly. I've still got Kentucky up here. Arizona State was my first team out.
Tress is saying he can see Kentucky going west.
It could. It's definitely possible. Okay, give me an obvious one. Nebraska somewhere, let's see. Could Nebraska go to Arkansas? How far is Fayetteville to Omaha?
Let me look it up. Well, it would be Lincoln, right?
Oh, Lincoln. Yeah, of course. I know that. By the way, I hope you guys enjoy this. If you catch something obvious, let us know. What we're trying to do is the NCAA is going to try to save money where it can and be fair.
Yeah.
And so 400 miles bus ride is a big factor.
So Lincoln to Fayetteville, Arkansas is 440 miles.
Okay, so that's out. I think let's go ahead and put Little Rock in Fayetteville. I mean, it's proximate.
I can, like, I literally just talked to the head coach, like, and everybody with the conference, they are anticipating going to Fayetteville.
Okay. So we'll cross them off the list.
Randall says that he's not riding a bus. Man, you'd be surprised. Let me tell you, they do it for basketball with the NCAA tournament. Since the NCAA pays for everything, I've lived it.
Okay, here's 2 more easy ones. We got Fresno State and St. Mary's. We'll go somewhere out west, I would think. How far is St. Mary's to UCLA? And Fresno to UCLA?
Well, Fresno isn't close to LA, but I'll Google it.
Right. It's 400 miles is all we've got to get.
Yeah, it's doable. It's 250 miles from Fresno to LA.
So I think what we do, we put Fresno out in UCLA. Again, that was the one that was, and I guess as I look at this, there's a few more teams out west than I knew. I'd forgotten Fresno got an auto bid. And then St. Moraga is kind of in a weird, isn't that Northern California?
Which school?
St. Mary's.
Yeah, it is. You think them to LA?
Probably. I mean, if nothing else, it's, you're not changing time zones, even if you can't bus there. Which feels like the right thing to do.
It's a little further. It's almost right at the 400-mile mark.
I'm going to put them there anyway. Because it's not like St. Mary's can go anywhere else without flying. So, unless, well, no, wait, I've already got Fresno State down here at Oregon State. And that's more than a 400-mile drive, isn't it? Again, and that's where I didn't count on UCLA getting a host.
What about SC? First, is SC going to make the tournament at all?
I've got them in. Okay. So we can't send them to UCLA.
Okay.
We would have to send. Well, I'll tell you what. Well, it's still a long drive. I think SC is probably going to get shipped because they're not going to be a 4. How close is Cal Poly to Oregon State? Well, we can't put him here because UCLA is already here.
They're asking, or I think Hunter asked about where Mississippi State. I mean, honestly, could they do the Hattiesburg thing for Mississippi State and send them to Southern Miss? If not, you're looking at going to Tallahassee or Clemson.
Well, I've got Alabama there already.
Okay.
I could move. Alabama can go. Oh, good grief. Alabama can go. Clemson, Florida State. That's it.
Mm-hmm. I do think this will be the year they put State in Hattiesburg, just because to make it easier.
I could send Alabama here and ship Kentucky out west.
Yeah.
And throw Northeastern somewhere else. That makes more sense, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Somebody's got to go to Corvallis, too. I could see SC going to Corvallis.
So take Northeastern and Kentucky off the board, or leave them on the board, but unassigned. And we'll throw Alabama.
Wes, I'm with you, by the way. Chris asked Kentucky in. I would be so nervous if I was a Kentucky fan.
Yeah, but here's the thing. But we did say Alabama to Southern Miss, right?
You think Bama or State to Hattiesburg?
Where was the alternative for Alabama?
Probably one of those ACC schools.
What did we just say? I just said it. This is where
Florida State, Clemson. Could see one of them going to Coastal Carolina.
Clemson. Is that right? Alabama's 324 to Clemson by what I had.
Yeah.
Can we fact check that?
Yeah, hold on. It's 325 from Tuscaloosa to Clemson.
Okay. Well, then I'm going to put Alabama and Clemson, and I'm going to throw Mississippi State in Hattiesburg as a 3. Not the 3 I'd want to see either, by the way.
Yeah, Corey says State to Hattiesburg would be a nightmare for both of them. Yes, it
would. Let's see where else State can go.
I mean, honestly, it's so tricky for State just because there's so many non-SEC teams in the area that are hosting.
Yeah, Mississippi State could go to Florida State just barely. Oh, that's it. Southern Miss. Now that Georgia Tech was an option, but it's not, so I think that's going to happen.
Is Clemson a little too far?
For Mississippi, for who?
For Mississippi State.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's Southern Miss. Obviously, they can't go to Oxford, or it's what was the other one? Yeah, Georgia Tech. If Georgia Tech had made it, that was a destination. Florida State's the other one, and it's 395 miles. And I've already got Florida going there. which I have reservations about, but Florida's one of those teams that was really hard to move around.
Yeah.
And I compensated a little bit by giving them Bethune-Cookman, which is in the area and also one of the worst teams in the field.
Yeah. By the way, if anybody's wondering, the selection show is tomorrow at noon Eastern on ESPN2.
I'll tell you what I'm a little uneasy about. I think I've given Auburn a tough pairing. Let me see if there's any other options there. I'll probably just throw them an easy 4 to balance that out. Yeah, Auburn. The problem with Auburn is there aren't many teams that are close. It's Georgia Tech. Okay, Southern Miss is hosting, so that's it. You're looking at the 2 teams that are within 400 miles of Auburn, as I've got it. No, wait, Stetson. I don't know. No, well, none of these other teams. East Tennessee State might be, but I think I've got them in Knoxville, don't I? I do.
Mm-hmm. Do you have Troy making it? Like if Troy makes it, could they go to Auburn?
Did not have them in.
I saw their head coach, Skylar Meade, was campaigning big time to make the tournament.
We could throw. See, like down here, I've got Central Connecticut is like a terrible 4. I could send them to Auburn to balance it out, or Binghamton. Any ideas for me here?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just like some of these teams, like, what do you do in North Dakota?
You just drop them in whatever's left over.
Yeah.
See, the easy way to do it is just to do the ones that make sense, right? I kind of put LSU, West Virginia and Baton Rouge just for lack of a better answer. Dallas Baptist is another one. I don't have them anywhere.
You can't see them going to Austin?
That would be a tough 2 for a high 1. They can go to Arkansas, Austin.
What about
they could have gone to TCU. That's where I see. If TCU had hosted, that would have been easy. Oh, they could go to Baton Rouge, but I'd rather have West Virginia than Dallas Baptist.
Yeah, well, they played each other. Remember, LSU and Dallas Baptist, they played in the regular season.
That was early, wasn't it?
Yeah, super early. Also, or like Wes is onto something. Maybe Dallas Baptist to Fayetteville.
I could almost go to Southern Miss. Yeah, they could go to Fayetteville. Who did I have as the 2? I had Kansas. Kansas can't go that many places. Kansas can go to Arkansas, and that's it. And be bust. So pick your poison.
Or I mean, I could see them going out west.
Yeah. What have we got left? I mean, Southern Miss would be a possibility. That's one of the few we don't have full. Is that the only one we've got left? I guess it is. So I guess they go by there by default. And, man, that is a brutal regional.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you would have to give Southern Miss a – oh, wait, do we not have TCU anywhere?
No. Or Western. You haven't put Western Kentucky. Oh, yeah, you have.
I put them down here. Okay, I think I might have put somebody twice. And again, when I did this originally, it was all predicated on TCU getting a bid and not UCLA.
Mm-hmm. You got 2 more spots for Chapel Hill.
Okay. Put West Virginia somewhere. I've miscounted something.
UCLA. Everybody's saying UCLA is a 2. in Eugene.
Oh, well, there you go. Thank you. Well, in that case, we send Dallas Baptist out there, which would make sense because that's a good 3 with the lower 2. So there you go. Solved. Okay, so we got our 2s done. I put Mississippi State somewhere. Yeah, all these teams, not a lot of teams can go anywhere. Miami is flight everywhere. Oklahoma State is Arkansas. And that's it. And who did we stick Arkansas with? We stuck them with Kansas.
Little Rock.
Yeah, but there's already a Big 12 team in there in Kansas, so they can't go there. So I think all these teams are just going to get shipped somewhere. We've already put Stetson and Tallahassee. East Carolina should be an easy assignment somewhere.
I think it will either be Coastal Carolina or like Chapel Hill.
I think let's send them to Coastal. What have we got in Chapel Hill?
You just got Oklahoma, and that's it. They're also saying you got Dallas Baptist in there twice.
Okay, where do I have them?
Yeah. Lindsay in the chat, where's Dallas Baptist twice?
Oh, I've got them Southern Miss, and I've got them. Yeah, I was going to take them out of here.
Gotcha. Okay.
So we could send TCU to Southern Miss. That would make sense.
They played each other in the regular season too.
Okay.
Southern Miss won in Texas.
God, that's a brutal regional. Whew. Did Dallas Baptist and Southern Miss play?
I don't think so, but I'll double check.
Do they try to avoid that?
Well, I mean, if for teams like that, I would, because you need all the help you can get.
Well, we could also do some balancing out of power conferences and mid majors. We could put Dallas Baptist here, and then we could throw TCU out west.
No, Dallas Baptist did not play Southern Miss.
Okay, well, there you go.
They played a good schedule, though. They played TCU twice. They played Oklahoma. They played UTSA, Oklahoma State, Louisiana Lafayette. They played LSU. They played North Dakota State, who made the tournament.
Had Murray State going to Ole Miss. They could go to Nashville.
Yeah, Murray State, it's like 3 hours away from Ole Miss and Oxford. It's not that bad.
All right, let's find the easy ones, and then we'll work around the tough ones, because all these 3s are going to get shipped somewhere in a flight anyway.
And Kane Campbell is saying we got UC Irvine in here twice.
Okay. I've got him at UCLA, and then I've got him at Oregon. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. And again, that's back to, I did this before I knew that UCLA was hosting, so that threw a wrench in all this. So okay, so who we've got out on 2s? Have we sent Northeastern anywhere?
Not yet. You took him out somewhere.
I did. Okay, let's send him to Oregon. And man, that's going to be a long flight.
Yes, it is.
Boston to Eugene. That might be that's one of the tougher 2s in the field. Okay. I put Miami in Knoxville because it's close, and also if you S-curve it, a lower 1 gets a higher 4, so that worked out. If Vanderbilt's the top seed and you try to balance it out, it should get somebody down here. But you've got, I think Wright State's driving distance. Murray State is definitely driving distance. So we could punt on that one, or we have Murray State. I put them somewhere anyway, didn't I?
Mm-hmm. I don't think you got Miami of Ohio and Knoxville.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm pretty happy with that one.
Yeah. Just don't put the two Miamis in the same regional. I saw either Baseball America or D1 did that. I was like,
Oh,
don't
goodness.
Don't do that.
Okay, somebody give me something easy here.
What about Columbia and the Ivy? Have we put them anywhere?
No, and they're going to have to fly everywhere.
Are they a West Coast candidate?
Maybe.
Houston Christian, that's a candidate for Austin.
Oh, yeah, that's an easy one. And that's where I had them going to TCU. So that's why they're nowhere. But obviously, if you're joining late, TCU didn't get a regional, so here we are.
And then what about Texas Rio Grande Valley?
I don't think they're getting in.
You don't think they're going to get in?
Mm-mm.
Who is that in between Houston Christian and Wright State? Does that say that's St. Mary's? Is that what that said?
Yes, that's St. Mary's. Okay. And I've got them. I think I've already got them at UCLA. I do. So the checks are the ones that I've already put somewhere.
Gotcha. So Binghamton needs a home. I think they'll be East Coast somewhere, right?
You know what I'm going to do? Just for now, I'm going to put Central Connecticut and Nashville to give Vanderbilt one of the easier twos or one of the easier fours, just because if you're balancing it out, that would be the fair way to do it. And they're going to fly somewhere anyway.
Have you put Wake Forest anywhere yet?
Yeah, I've got Wake going to Coastal.
Okay.
That's probably a middle of the road to easier, probably middle of the road 2. East Carolina is probably an easier 3. So they would probably get a tougher one. We could throw Columbia there. Although you think Columbia would go more towards no, I don't think that's unfair. Keep them in the same time zone.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say.
Okay, we'll do that.
Kenny says Central Connecticut did go to Oregon a few years ago. Chances of that happening again?
I mean, if the committee's paying attention, probably not, but
yeah, and War Eagle makes a good point. The Texas Rio Grande Valley AD is on the committee.
Yeah, and so is Southeastern Louisiana's. But I have them. I have 5 or 6 teams that didn't even get in ahead of them, maybe more than that. If you want to know my cut list, just for kicks, I had the last team in as Connecticut, and then I had Virginia, Troy, Notre Dame, Xavier, Cal Poly, if it doesn't get into large, and then Northeastern, UTRGV. And I probably could have moved Texas A&M up ahead of some of those teams. I just didn't bother because I'm like, they're not getting in, so why waste your time? Omaha, where's Northeastern? We stuck them in. Where did we stick them? I think we sent them out west.
Yeah. Can you pull it back?
Yeah, sorry, I'm looking at another sheet. We sent them to Oregon, which was one of the lower ones, and Northeastern was one of the better 2s, and Northeastern couldn't go, so that made sense. And also gave them Oregon kind of an easier 3 in Kansas State, or not a horrible one. Kansas State's got the weirdest resume too. I keep wondering like why's everybody got them in? They're 5-17 in quad one. Well, guess what? Every one of those games was on the road.
Or neutral site.
Yeah.
One of them is against Arkansas.
Yeah. Like I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah.
Okay, help us out here. Guys, if there's something obvious, throw it our way.
So what we need help with 3s and 4s? Is that what
Oh,
we
you know what? Here's another thing. Creighton is they're not an easy 3. I think Creighton is I don't think they're within 400 of Fayetteville, are they?
Josh just has a super chat. Yeah.
Well, it does talk about regional balance. And RPI is not always your best tool. I mean, if I can go where it S curves pretty well and the geography fits, to me, that's a really good settling point. I did not have Bethune-Cookman and Austin because they're really close to Tallahassee. Are they even in Tallahassee? I think there's a SWAC school in Tallahassee, but I don't remember which one.
A&M, Florida A&M.
Okay. All right, back to work.
Kane says he thinks TCU to Oxford.
That feels like a tough draw from middle two. Who do we have with Ole Miss? But Arizona. Yeah, I mean that could happen. Because we did send TCU out west, right?
They are at Oregon
Yeah.
State with Cal
Okay.
Poly.
Okay, let's see how far that is.
Which one? Who do you want to look at?
TCU to Ole Miss. That's 567. But that's better than sending Arizona to a different time zone. By the way, Arizona and Ole Miss matched up a few years ago, as I'm sure you remember that one.
A lot. Ole Miss went to Arizona when Jay Johnson was out there in the Supers, and then they played in Miami at the regionals in 2022.
No, that's a good call. I'm going to switch that one. Does make it a little easier for fans to get there too. Keeps Arizona in the same time zone. If Southeast for Athens.
If Southeastern Louisiana makes it, like would they go to Baton Rouge?
I think they'd be right here.
Yeah, we can find somebody for Georgia. What about
I think Georgia's got a lot of options. Georgia's got.
What about somebody like Holy Cross, same time zone?
Okay, teams that could bust to Georgia. Georgia Tech, we've already got them in Auburn. Now that could be fun. Switch that one around a little bit. North Carolina State, which we've got going to Knoxville. Duke, which we've got going to Georgia, right? Wake Forest. 3s is Western Kentucky is the only team. East Tennessee State, maybe. And I don't know how far Stetson is, but Stetson always stays in Florida anyway.
Yeah. Stetson's around Orlando.
East Carolina to Georgia would be a possibility, but I think we put them in. Josh says NC State's not going to Knoxville. All right. I'll hear you out, Josh. Creighton or Nebraska to Fayetteville. Yeah, that's
homecoming shorts for Van Horn.
Oh yeah, hey, that'd be fun, wouldn't it? Did you see what Nebraska had a pitcher who like went 110 pitches or so today, darn near through a complete game, and it wasn't a guy that like usually does that.
Yeah.
Yeah, what have we got in Fayetteville? Where are you, Arkansas? Here, Kansas.
Bottom
Well,
right.
we could stick Nebraska down there or Creighton, either one.
Yeah, either one.
Let's do Nebraska, just for
For,
fun.
for kicks and giggles.
Yep. That's not
Let's
an
try
easy
to
draw.
let's try to figure out Athens.
Okay. I think all the teams that make sense geographically are already assigned.
Where do you have Duke?
I've got Duke and Athens,
Okay.
which is a tough two. East Carolina's assigned. We could give them like Rhode Island.
Same time zone.
Yeah, let's see what other options. Because Duke is one of the twos I wouldn't want to draw. That would make some sense. Rhode Island's going to fly wherever anyway. I like that. You good with it?
Yeah. So they're the 4.
They're
Or
the three.
You got them as a 3. Okay. So now we need a 4 in Athens. Have you put Fairfield anywhere yet?
No, Murray State. I feel like I put Murray State somewhere and just didn't check it off. Yeah, I put them with Ole Miss. So scratch that one. I think that was that might have been driving. That might have been within 400.
Josh says NC State to Coastal Carolina. 1,000% bookmark it.
I had that earlier, and why did I switch out of that?
Did you put him in Knoxville? Yeah, you put him
I
in Knoxville.
did. I mean, I could switch Wake and NC State.
How did Tennessee
Josh,
fans feel about Wake Forest now after the Burn stuff?
oh, that's right. You have the Chase Burns stuff. Let's see. NC State to Coastal is
Forrest Davis said Wake Forest has already played Coastal twice. Not sure the committee cares though.
okay. NC State to Coastal is 188. NC State to Knoxville is 371. Wake to Knoxville is 267. Wake to Coastal is 203. So you're saving North Carolina State fans a couple hours driving time if you make the switch. Josh really wants Wake Forest and Knoxville.
Yeah, I don't blame him.
Sam says Georgia Tech to Knoxville. Okay, we got Georgia Tech to Auburn. Yeah, I mean, that's one too. Georgia Tech, let's see what Auburn can get. Auburn can take, if you don't want to fly, that's the problem. The 2s and 3s are sparse. It's Western Kentucky, and that's it. And Georgia Tech. Southern Miss was an option, but they got a host.
Yeah. You think it's going to be ACC to Auburn?
I mean, man, there's so many. The South is just dominated by these two leagues. And you almost have to pair ACC, SEC together in all these cases.
Yeah.
Because you're not going to put two of the same league in one regional. So
And again, I see Michael and other people asking in the chat. So the real thing is tomorrow, noon Eastern on ESPN2. That's when they
Yeah.
go down regional by regional, seeds and seeds.
Wake does have a higher RPI. I mean, DSR, they're pretty close in each, and that's the one that I use to check quality. The committee doesn't use that, but I thought that like NC State was a very trendy regional hosting pick for a while, and so I kind of stuck them in with Knoxville because like that might be perceived as a better 2 and Tennessee's a lower 1.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of the thinking there. Plus, with NC State here and Wake here, it fit the busing situation.
Yeah.
But I mean, I could make the switch. Sam, I'm interested. Why do you think Georgia Tech?
I do think Georgia Tech is going to SEC. I mean, I just
I do too. So if you stuck Georgia Tech in Knoxville, I don't think you could send NC State to Auburn, could you? I mean, you could, but it'd be a flight. Yeah, NC State to Auburn is 514 miles.
Okay.
Tennessee thinks they're getting Georgia Tech, Sam says, which is interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with Josh. Just because they're pretty centrally located, you know.
Yeah, I mean they could go to Vanderbilt, they could go to Georgia, they could go to Auburn, they could go to Coastal, they could go to Tennessee, they could go to Ole Miss, they could go to Southern Miss. Well, let's table that for a minute. Wright State's been to Knoxville. I think Wright State's in driving distance of Nashville. But we've already given Vanderbilt an easier 2 to kind of balance that one out.
Mm-hmm.
But we could change that too. It's 331.
Wake Forest is right on the bubble to go to Auburn as far as like distance goes.
And that's a hard rule, isn't it?
425 from Winston-Salem to Auburn.
Yeah, campus to campus is 419.
Is there not a directional Louisiana school that you can just send to Baton Rouge? Even if you don't think Southeastern Louisiana makes it.
I mean, our choices with the 3s at this point are Creighton, Connecticut, Oklahoma State, Southern Cal, Kentucky, Miami. I think all those are a flight to wherever at this point.
I could see it being Oklahoma State. I could see them being one of the last teams in, and you just get sent wherever.
Yeah. I mean, and that's like, I think that's a ways, but it's, you could drive it if the committee's even thinking about that. Although, wait, we've got West Virginia there. That's 2 Big 12 schools, so we'd have to move them out.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
You could send
Miami.
Yeah, but that would feel like a tough draw.
Yes, it would.
You could send Southern Cal there.
Yeah, you could.
or Connecticut or Creighton.
Tress asks, is the committee really checking miles like this? It's funny to picture a bunch of ADs pulling up Google Maps.
I mean, I don't know. We may be doing more research than the committee's doing, but
So the reason why all this is like been made public is the Southeastern Louisiana athletic director, who's the chairman of the committee. He was on the D1 baseball podcast last week, and he's the one that was bringing up the 400 miles.
Yeah.
It's like we're just kind of going off of what he has publicly said.
You know what? Maybe it'd be easier if we just put 3 somewhere and then balancing out the rest, and we can always make trades.
Yeah. And Michael, like, I agree with you. He said if mileage and geography is the main factor for these, then someone's getting screwed.
Yes, it happens, and it happens every year.
Someone is always going to get screwed.
Okay, where could we put Miami?
Well, they're probably a 3, right?
They are a 3.
If they're a 3, they're just going to be sent to one of these random spots. So
yeah, we could put Oklahoma State to Texas.
Yeah, that would work.
I mean, let me see how far it is. It's 451, so it's still, but I mean, you've got an old conference rivalry. I mean, that'd be fun. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
Let's speak it into existence.
And then what? Miami to Baton Rouge. That's 3 Power 4.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, that would be too.
We can't send. We got Chapel Hill to deal with too.
I just think pick any of those Carolina schools. Like, where do you have upstate? South Carolina upstate.
I had them going to Clemson.
East Carolina.
Who could we give LSU? We could give them Creighton.
Creighton. And then they, like, if you buy that their AD is going to put them in the tournament, like, that's an easy one.
To LSU?
Yeah. Hammond to Baton Rouge.
Oh, Sela. Yeah, I just don't have them in. I mean, yes, obviously, if they're in, then actually, I think that was another school that could go a bunch of places. But who are we giving LSU? Well, let's look. Okay, we got to give LSU a 3. We got to give Clemson a 3. And I feel like we need to be a little easier on Clemson here. North Carolina and Ole Miss. We could send Creighton to Oxford.
Boy, that's a long way. As somebody who has made that drive not that long ago, that is a long way. Corey Ward, that would be fun. Miami to Oxford, a rematch of the 2022 regionals.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be fun.
That's kind of a tough pairing, though. You've already got TCU.
Yeah, I doubt that happens.
I think we put Creighton and Oxford. At least for now.
Yeah, do it.
We could keep Connecticut East. Clemson or North Carolina would make a little sense.
Same time zone.
Yeah. And Miami can't go there. We can't put Kentucky in either of those because we've already got Alabama there. And who else do we have?
I mean, I think teams like Kentucky, Oklahoma State, if they make the tournament, those are candidates to where they're going sent to some random place like super far away.
That's true.
Just
Last
because
in.
they're Power Four, like they can somewhat afford it. You know, it's not so much nickel and dime for them.
Well, all right, we've got a Kentucky problem now. Because we've already sent Arizona. We've already got those 3 full. And yeah, we've got UCLA. We could send Kentucky to Oregon and ship Kansas State somewhere else.
Okay.
We could put Kansas, now that Kansas, there's already a Big 12 team there. We could put Kansas State in, how about let's put them in Chapel Hill? We good that?
Do it. Even though that's a brutal regional. UNC, Oklahoma, and Kansas State. Yikes.
Yeah, I have questions about Kansas State being that good, though, to be honest. Okay, so it's Hurricanes, Huskies, Trojans. Okay, where we can't send Miami to Clemson, and we can't send them. I feel like I've got too many threes already.
Right now, it's looking like Baton Rouge.
I think so.
Even though I don't think that's going to happen.
Well, we may have to shift some pieces around here. I'm going to put them there for now, but man, that's not a fun draw. Okay, we're overbooked. How did that happen?
By the way, Jay's here.
Jay Greason, welcome to the party.
Man, it's been a party all day long at the Greason household.
Isn't that every day?
Well, that's completely fair, but we also the Little Miss Greason turned 15 this weekend.
That's a big deal.
Congrats.
And we had convinced her not to get too off of all of Chris's trapper keeper color mismatches. We had convinced her that she was not going to get Bits and Boone tickets, and then she got them for her birthday. So this was a good birthday.
Well done, Dad.
What was the reaction?
Circa those black and white videos from Teenage Girls Beatles 1962.
Nice.
Oh, what was for dinner? Well, much to my chagrin, we catered it. Trey, great question. I made dinner for the family last night. I'm happy to go over that menu, but tonight we catered it from our favorite Mexican restaurant, and they put everything on the table. And I'm sorry that I just dropped in here and completely derailed the chat.
When would that ever happen?
Well, the ladies do love Benson Boone.
Okay. I've screwed something up.
Watch Jay just parachute in here and then just like solve this like a Rubik's Cube.
I know.
What do you need me to solve?
We
got to put Connecticut and Southern Cal somewhere, but I've got all the threes.
What about Oregon State needs one more team, right? In that regional.
Yeah, well, no. Yeah, it needs a 4. Okay, figure this out. I show that I got Miami and Southern Cal and Connecticut all.
Oh my word, Josh. I don't even really want to have to define the phrase moose knuckle. I mean, hey, we know that I am on the edge of so many things. But if I can't get the phrase moose knuckle out of my mouth without laughing, and yes, Josh is probably giggling now that I said the phrase moose knuckle out of my mouth. So oh my word. I've been
God
here
help
4
us.
minutes. I probably need just to sign off. You guys are probably having great baseball discussion, and I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Hey, Dirk Spinley wrote a great song about that. Look it up.
Stop.
I've screwed something up, and I can't figure it out, which is common in my life, by the way.
Yes, Josh, we know what moose knuckle is. Yes. Yes. It is not the call for the knuckleball with Phil Necro. It is not the easy way to get into brass knuckles. No, we know what the moose knuckle reference is. We got you. All right. We got you. And
Chris,
this one.
Chris, all this is doing is just making me ready for tomorrow.
Oh, I know. I mean, this is totally irrelevant, but people are still here for it. Oh, I know what. I've got Fresno State as a 3. That's my problem. They should be a 4. Who needs a 4? Oregon State, you need a 4. That'll work.
Yeah. And like we said earlier, somebody's going to get screwed. Like it happens. Somebody's going to have to go two time zones in the other direction. So it happens every year.
And need to show up with a moose knuckle. Right, Josh?
You know, this man, I could have a bingo card of like, I could guess a million things that are going to be said when Jay comes on, and I'm still not going to get it.
Hey, in Jay's defense, he's not the one that brought this up.
He did roll with it.
Is Jay frozen? I think he's frozen.
That would be fitting. Okay, so who have we got left on 3s? East Carolina. I have a little more appreciation for the committee after tonight.
Rob Trumpet, we're all getting drunk watching you bounce the screen around.
Sorry.
Everybody's on an ocean or on a ship in the ocean somewhere.
Well, maybe you have some idea of who your favorite team is getting now. Okay.
Yeah, that was a classic freeze frame for Jay.
East Tennessee State. Okay, so we got to put Southern Cal and Connecticut somewhere. And they can go to UCLA or to Clemson.
And Hattiesburg needs one more.
Well, except Southern Cal can't go out here because they're Big Ten. So that means you go here. Hello, Clemson. And means Connecticut gets the trip out west. Okay, so now we're just down to 4s, right?
Yeah.
Okay. If we S-curved it, Fairfield should be getting a lower 4. I mean, a lower 1.
LSU.
Who's the worst one left?
Who's that? You got Auburn and LSU. They need a 4.
Gosh, but if I send Fairfield there, that's a tough draw.
And Kenny with breaking news, by the way. The ASUN called the game. Stetson gets the automatic bid.
Okay. So we had that built in. And who was the other game we were waiting for? Oh, it's Irvine. Give me an Irvine update. Because you know what? If Cal Poly didn't win that game, then we freed up an at-large for someone.
Jay's back here, by the way.
Okay. Oh, I didn't realize he was out of the chat.
He's back.
Hello, everybody.
And louder than ever. Cal Poly won, Chris. Cal Poly won.
Okay, so that's they stole an at-large from someone. They're probably keeping Arizona State out of the tournament. Okay. All right, let's put our 4s somewhere and get out of here.
LSU needs a 4.
You know, Southern Miss probably needs a break here, so we're going to give him Binghamton. That's the worst team left anywhere. Auburn needs a break.
You guys are cute, all cuddled up. Everybody on their phone.
So they're getting North Dakota State because they've already played Holy Cross, and we're not doing that. Oh, you're supposed to go down here.
Video of we dancing in the kitchen. You do? I want to show it to Mr. Justin.
Whose house is that?
Jay, where are you?
No, we're at home right now.
We could keep Holy Cross in the Eastern time zone. Send them to.
Well, I mean, that'll please Pope Leo the 14th, I guess. I mean,
right. Holy Cross, you're going to Georgia.
Yeah, say your prayers.
We'll give North Carolina Wright State.
Hey, we can call it the airplane game. I mean, Wright State, Wright Brothers.
There you go.
North Carolina.
It was meant to be.
I got a million of them. Hey, keep coming.
LSU, you're getting Fairfield. That's not very fair.
Yeah. They haven't played in a fair field for a long, long time. Not since Saban left.
What do we think?
Set it in stone. That's what
Set it and say it'll look just like this tomorrow.
Yeah.
Guaranteed.
Take it to the bank.
So there you go. That's what we got.
Jay, did anything surprise you when you saw the teams that are getting the host?
My biggest question, and I know I missed the early part of it, and for that I'm sorry, but been a whole lot going on here at the Greason compound. Chris, do you have Auburn as a national seed?
Yes.
That's going to be a linchpin tomorrow to see which SEC team that is deserving of a national seed gets the 9 or 10.
This is the order I've got them in.
So Vandy, Texas. Where's 3 go?
Arkansas. 3 is I've got the seats over here.
All right, so Vandy, Texas. You got Georgia made it. Auburn made it. LSU at 7. Carolina, UNC at 4.
Yeah. It goes Vanderbilt, Texas, Arkansas, UNC, Georgia, Auburn, LSU, Coastal, Ole Miss, Clemson, Florida State, Oregon, Tennessee, Oregon State, Southern Miss, UCLA is how I've got it. Oregon State's tough to figure. RPI's got them at like 7, but man, they just didn't beat anybody. I don't understand how the RPI got to where it was, but it
Are
did.
you working over here?
I am.
Oh.
It is. They are. Oregon State is the anomaly that could be, to your point, 7 in the RPI, but they had no conference schedule. They had no real difficulty. Where in the world is their strength of schedule by comps? I mean, are they a good baseball team? Absolutely. Do they deserve to host a regional? Yes. Do I think they deserve to be a top 8 seed? Absolutely not.
Who's this again?
Oregon State.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be
And
surprised if they're top 8.
Yeah. And Michael, I think we'll probably dive into that tomorrow, right? Especially once we know which matchups or what. As far as which SEC team we don't envision to make it very far. And vice versa, like who we think will go far.
Yeah, I need to look further into that. Who are we concerned about going into the tournament?
SEC wise or just in general?
SEC.
I'm pretty concerned about Auburn, to be honest about it. And that's the sheepskin on my wall. I don't know. Sam Dutton's shown flaws. Yeah, their offense has been consistent, but it's not been overpowering. And I'm unbelievably pleased. Dear Lord, if you're an Ole Miss fan, how can you not be stoked with what you've seen over the last 4 days?
Yeah. For me, a different route. Like if I was a Kentucky fan, I'd be nervous. Just like they got 29 wins. Like I'd be on pins and needles, freaking out if we're gonna make it or not. Other SEC teams that I would be nervous about. I mean, where are you guys on Tennessee? Like Tennessee has not played well for 5 weeks. Now they had a good tournament, but they still didn't. They still haven't looked.
I'm
played up to their
nervous
potential.
because of Doyle, his last 2 starts. Like, I think even with all the defensive disasters, well, I say that. I mean, they've lost 6 or 7 series. It's broken somewhere. No, it's the SEC. They're going to get out of the league. It's going to get easier. But between the defense and him not being himself the last 2 weeks, I'm concerned about them. Jada Auburn, I feel like when Butch Thompson's got a good team, he usually figures it out. I've seen Auburn limp into the postseason and end up in Omaha.
Well, I'm going to say I agree with Josh. I feel great about Tennessee. I think they are a flip the switch kind of emotional powder keg.
Yeah.
I'm more worried about, if we're talking about being worried about a team, I'm more worried about the other UT. I'm more worried about Texas than I am Tennessee.
I was just about to bring them up.
Yeah, I mean, they are. Goodness, the last 3 weeks were so opposite of what they did the rest of the year.
In the last 3 weeks, though, Chris, is without Spencer. I mean, it's without your bell cow Friday night starter.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they still have plenty of pitching. The problem is it's like Riojas has been bad out of the rotation. They can pop it back. So I think Texas may still have enough pieces with Grubbs.
They
and
have plenty of pitching, but it's like having a whole bunch of good running backs, but you lose Ricky Williams. and he's the guy who gets 20 carries.
Yeah, I'm going to push back on that, though. They've got a lot of guys on that staff that can throw innings. Like Grubbs has been a starter, wasn't a starter most of the year. I think Cade Bing, I want to say, might have been a weekend starter or weekday starter for them. Thomas Burns has thrown more than he's thrown this year. Grayson Saunier's been a starter at Ole Miss. I think they've got some durability from guys who didn't throw a ton of pitches compared to what they normally do. And I think that might be Jim Schlossnagel's ace in the hole.
Mm-hmm. What about Florida and their injuries?
I mean, we've been concerned about Florida for 2 months, and it hasn't mattered yet. But everything's got a breaking point. So, Hunter asks who I've got projected in, who could get left out. Let me see if I can pull up.
Like, to me, that's Kentucky. Like, that's got Kentucky all over
See,
it.
I still think, well, yes, if it's SEC, it's Kentucky, but I've still got Southern Cal, Oklahoma State, Kansas State, Connecticut below Kentucky.
Yeah.
And they all had worse RPIs, and other than Oklahoma State, they all had worse KPIs. When in doubt, I'll look at that because those are numbers that we know the committee uses. And you've got to give me a reason to say those teams are ahead of Kentucky. And I don't really find one. That's the area, like quad one records in that area. Mississippi State 8-18, Kentucky 8-19, Southern Cal 5-6, Oklahoma 5-12, Kansas State 5-17, Connecticut 7-11, Virginia 5-6, Troy 3-10, Notre Dame 7-11. Now, Virginia, Troy, Notre Dame are getting left out, I think. But you see my point. Like, everybody's got flaws in that area. And Kentucky had one quad four loss. Southern Cal had 3. Oklahoma State had 3. Kansas State and Connecticut didn't have any. Virginia had 1. Troy had 3. And look, Kentucky swept Tennessee, didn't sweep them. Kentucky took a series in Knoxville, swept Oklahoma. You're looking at teams in that range, and nobody's got a series win like in Knoxville.
Any worry about LSU? Like, their pitching is awesome, but offensively, they've kind of struggled the last handful of games.
I'll give you a spoiler alert. If I had to pick a national champion right now, I think it's LSU.
Just because their pitching is that good?
Yes, they're top end.
I completely agree. Completely agree. Not knowing the draw right now, if I have to pick 2 SEC teams to be in the Final Four, it's LSU and Arkansas.
Take Fisher out of the lineup and Tennessee is average. Well, yeah, but
how many teams?
Fisher's not coming out of the lineup.
I mean, okay. I mean, think how many different baseball conversations you can have saying, okay, take Greg Maddux out of the rotation and the Braves were mediocre.
I get his point. Keelan didn't hit as well in the league. The bottom part of the lineup struggled, but Levi Clark kind of came on and hit late for them, and they've got a lot of talented guys. And they're playing at home, and look, hitting the reset button may be absolutely the thing they need. You see teams do that all the time. Tennessee's the biggest wild card in the whole tournament, I think.
Yeah.
Completely agree.
Yeah, totally.
I have posted this on Twitter. I have written this in columns at the Times Free Press. Tennessee at times looks like far and away the best college baseball team in America. And then at times they look like they would be lucky to get a 3 seed. So What do we get? What do we get for the next 3 weekends? And that's what matters.
I'm worried that their short relief has not shown up lately too. But at the same time, you saw Russell go his longest outing of the year. I feel like Phillips is usually good for 4 pretty good innings. even with the runner things, and it might be 6. And Doyle, I mean, if he's healthy, he's good to go 7 or 8 easily. Like they've just between those 3 guys, they've got enough where they could piece it together if they don't end up in the losers bracket. But those are some ifs with all 3 of those guys.
Mm-hmm.
And they're also all 3, first or second round type arms too. Like I feel like the teams that have been winning the national championships more often than not, and Ole Miss would have been a little bit of an exception a couple of years ago, are teams that got big-time pro talent. Like look at Tennessee last year, look at LSU the year before, look at Florida, which was runner-up, look at A&M last year, runner-up. And those teams were loaded with first-rounders, future major leaguers, that kind of thing.
Yeah, that Ole Miss team was like a mix. You got some guys that were pretty high draft picks, like Elko got called up. I know he got sent back down, but like Elko was insane on his run. But that Ole Miss team, you had like really, really good college baseball players, like somebody like Justin Bench, who earlier this year announced his retirement from pro baseball. Like he was a phenomenal college baseball player. Not a big leaguer, but that Ole Miss team was like a combination of a little bit of everything.
Yeah. What else we got? Or are we going to just call it a night?
I think like after tomorrow, like when we know what everything looks like, we'll have way more content to talk about and make predictions, projections, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, and one fun thing about doing this and unpacking it is like I think I'll be able to tell pretty quickly some things that were on the committee's mind. Like when teams that I've got here start getting left out, or the national seed pecking order looks a lot different. I mean, I say that sometimes. I've seen that in the NCAA tournament where there's just no rhyme or reason to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and LSU at the box, those guys turn it on in the postseason. I'm trying to think, when is the last time LSU lost a series in the postseason in Baton Rouge? I feel like it's been a minute.
Like who was it? Like the only thing that comes to mind is like Stony Brook. Remember?
Yeah, and that's been a dozen years or more.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Yeah. Josh says teams don't hit Phillips. He's right about that. Now the fastball I think plays a little straight at times, maybe, and they don't want to play a bunt and run. Well, I mean Phillips can field pretty well, but it's the runners that's the issue. I'm trying to remember. I believe Tennessee has held their best guy for game 2 lately. You have some coaches that'll do that and some that won't.
Yeah, different coaches, different philosophies. Like I know at Ole Miss, like Mike Bianco has hardly ever done that. He's done it like maybe once or twice.
FSU beat Mike Martin last FSU. Okay, I said Mike Martin's last year in Florida State. He beat LSU. How long has Mike Martin been? I know he's passed away, but how long has he been out of the game now? Half a dozen?
They're on their 2 different head coaches since
right.
he retired.
Right.
So,
it's been a half dozen years.
Yeah, it's been a minute.
Okay.
I still bring it up to him now. Like, hey,
Hold on, I'm pulling it up.
There's nobody that we
Mike Martin Jr. was the head coach for 3 years. Stepped down in 2022.
Okay. Jay, you might want to mute your mic when you're not talking.
Now they're on Link Jarrett.
There we go.
Now.
What was Martin's last year? I'm sorry.
Mike Martin Jr.
19.
2022.
Oh, Mike Martin Jr. Okay.
Yeah. So senior was 19, junior 22.
Interesting. So LSU goes as it goes at home. See, I really trust Jay Johnson is one of the coaches that I really trust for postseason, but I feel like we've got a lot of those in this league.
Yeah,
Kevin O'Sullivan.
Yeah, baseball wise, it's the deepest coaches in any sport in the SEC.
Right, that's right. Last year, Tennessee used Stamos as an opener, and he'd pitch about 1 to 2 innings, and then they would, which I thought was a really good plan for their situation. Tim Corbin's one of those guys that never deviates. They could be playing the three of us, and his one is going in that Friday game.
By the way, speaking of Corbin, he got asked after they won the tournament, like on the studio show, like why they wear those particular uniforms. And if you have not seen his answer, like it's pretty awesome just to hear why Vandy wears those.
Jay, everyone okay in your house?
No, we got a bunch of people here.
Gotcha.
But I actually I love Trey's question about James Franklin being in the Vandy dugout, and that's a whole different kettle of fish.
That was weird. That's weird.
Yeah.
But,
With your current head
especially the
coach
way
there,
he left.
yeah,
The scandal and lying to everyone. Look, I'm not a fan. I not at all a fan of James Franklin, but it's Tim Corbin's dugout. He can do as he pleases, I suppose.
but your current football head coach is there. Like he's
Right.
there.
He was in the stands, by the way,
Yeah, and he's not in the dugout.
and 1,000 times the person of the one in the dugout, by the way.
The other question, I'm going to push back and at least just in the big picture question, does SEC baseball have the best collection of coaches across any SEC sport?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Oh,
Basketball?
Look,
I think basketball's better.
Jay, look how many have won a national championship. Look how many have made it to Omaha. It's way more than basketball.
Okay, let's do it school by school and keep score. Arkansas, who's the better coach, Cal
Patino.
or Van Horn? I'm sorry,
Patino,
sir. He's not on the menu.
Patino, Calipari. I mean, if you're gonna grade it that way, Calipari's better. He's got a natty.
Two totally different styles.
Um,
That's probably the hardest one of all the SEC schools.
so Jay's going Patino.
You mean Calipari?
I mean
Calipari.
Cal.
Calipari.
Whatever.
I said yes. They're the same guy.
Yeah. Jay, I mean
Alabama,
the last
basketball coach is better.
Hang on.
Auburn,
Let's
basketball coach is better.
Hang on. Let's get a verdict on basketball first. And Graham, which way are you voting?
I'm picking baseball.
I am too. All right.
No.
Jay,
Yes.
you got 5 different SEC teams, 5 different head coaches have won the whole thing the last 5 years. There's
Okay.
3 coaches in basketball in the league in the SEC that have a natty.
I thought we were going school by school.
We are. Okay, Alabama, basketball or baseball? I love Rob
Basketball,
Vaughn, but that's
easy.
basketball.
Yep,
Okay.
that one's basketball.
Auburn, boy, Bruce Pearl or Butch Thompson?
Bruce
That's-
Pearl, easy.
Well,
It's not even a debate.
It's-
and I love
yes.
Butch Thompson.
They've
Yeah.
both been twice. I'll go Bruce.
yeah. Okay, that was. Gosh, that's a heck of a coaching situation when you've got those two. Okay, Florida, Golden or Sullivan?
I'm going Sullivan,
gosh.
even though they each got a natty.
I am too.
I probably would too, but not long term.
That's totally fair.
Georgia,
Probably Wes Johnson.
Probably Wes Johnson, but
Yep.
neither is a vote of confidence. They both
3-2
should be better.
baseball. Kentucky.
Oh, no doubt. Mark Pope.
Ooh.
No doubt.
No doubt.
For the moment, give me Nick Mingione.
I'm with you. And I think Pope's good, but I think Nick's
Way-
really good too.
Way less pressure. Way less.
LSU, I think that one's going to be easy. Unless anybody's got a, yeah.
Yeah.
Mississippi State, they're going to be exempted because we don't have a coach.
Well, they're
Missouri.
not exempted. You have a coach with the basketball team.
Right, but you don't have a baseball coach.
Exactly. So the basketball coach gets the vote. I mean,
That feels like rigging the game.
no, it's not rigging the game. It is the status of where we are.
All right, Graham, what's your vote on that?
For which school?
Mississippi State.
Well, since they don't have a baseball coach,
I think we exempt State from the discussion.
give me the dentist.
Missouri, Dennis Gates.
Yes.
That's an easy one.
Oklahoma, I'll take
Give
Skip.
Give me Skip.
Okay.
Basketball.
Ole Miss. Whoo.
Skip's played for a natty and he won the Big 12 last year.
Ole Miss.
The Big 12's a joke. Come on, Graham. You know better.
Texas was in it last year.
Ole Miss.
Ole Miss
Bianco or Beard?
So Beard, in my opinion, Beard is a top 5 college basketball coach, but
What he said.
Mike has the natty.
But
I'm going Chris Beard.
yeah, I am too.
South Carolina. Well, I'll take Father
They're
Lamont
about to fire
at the
their
moment.
guy, and Lamont Parrish is a friend of mine. So you know I'm going Lamont Parrish.
Okay. Tennessee, Vitello or Barnes?
Vitello.
Yeah, Vitello.
Texas.
So Sean Miller, right? Give me Sloss.
Yeah,
I'll take
I'll go
Sloss.
Sloss there. Somebody keeping score because I still think
I'm
basketball's
keeping
up.
score. A&M.
Oh, please.
You going buckyball, Jay?
I think I will too.
Yes.
And Vandy. That's an easy one.
Yeah.
A&M, that is a tough one.
Okay, so we went.
Fire that
I'm
dude.
just saying
Come on now.
it's not a good spot to be if you're an A&M fan. That's what I'm trying to say.
So we went hoops with Alabama, Auburn, Missouri. I can't read my writing.
South Carolina,
South Carolina,
Ole
on.
Miss,
Ole Miss, Texas A&M. So
even though I went Bianco over you guys, but
Yeah.
y'all, it's 2 out of 3.
that's 6. So baseball, we went Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, LSU, Oklahoma, Tennessee. Tennessee.
y'all are wrong about Arkansas.
Texas, Vandy.
I mean, dear Lord, you're wrong about Arkansas.
It's still 9-6. Flip that vote, and it would still be 8-7. So it's still baseball.
Yup.
Josh, I mean, I see what you're saying, but man, Pope's been there 1 year. Look at Nick's
Yeah,
track.
but if you know, you know.
I'm going his track record, Nick's track record the last 3 years.
All right. Well, y'all gonna have to apologize. Y'all gonna have to send a Hallmark card to the Kentucky basketball offices in 2
Jay,
years. 'cause
over under how many more years is Mark Pope going to be there?
all of them.
Ain't no way. Ain't no way. That job, that pressure.
They got an alum in the seat who knows what the gig is. I'm telling you, man, Kentucky's about to fly.
I don't disagree. I just think Nick's done an incredible job. Nick took Kentucky to a College World Series at a place that's never been to one.
With way less resources. Way less. Like, it's
Right.
not even close.
Well,
Hang on. Do we buy this? Because I don't. How long's Coggin been at Georgia?
This is year 2. Hunter, aren't you a State fan? Aren't you from Mississippi? So Coggin is from Mississippi, played at State, was an assistant at State, followed Mingione to Kentucky. So a lot of those guys that he recruited, that was the Kentucky Super Regional team and Omaha team. And then he left to go to Georgia.
They also landed some really good transfers too. Kentucky did. Which I guess, well, I mean, last year and this year he would have had nothing to do with that. I think the point, Josh, nobody's saying Pope isn't any good. It's that, like, Kentucky wins in basketball no matter who the coach is.
Yeah.
They have not won in baseball.
Their resources, they can get whoever they want, like all that stuff.
And see if we did go. Okay. Yeah.
I mean, like, honestly, for Mississippi State, like, they proved, like, they had 4 different head coaches and they went to 4 super regionals and they went to Omaha 3 out of those years with 4 different head coaches. To me, that's about the program.
Yeah.
Well, you can't say we're going to hold Kentucky's resources against them and then praise Mississippi State for their program. Can we?
Yeah, okay. SEC wins in baseball no matter the coaches. That's not true. Didn't happen at Tennessee, didn't happen at Kentucky, didn't happen at Vandy.
The SEC did not win a national championship in baseball until 1990. Not that long ago.
And, well, it gets to be circular at a point because the best league attracts the best coaches. So how do you separate the two? And that's where maybe basketball does have a bit of a word in the discussion.
What do you think? Do you think it's harder to win in basketball or baseball?
Baseball.
Basketball.
You guys are different.
Well, wait a minute.
You get one bad game in basketball and you're out.
Well, I don't mean, like, I wasn't thinking just tournament. I'm thinking on the whole. Here's one thing that evens the scales a little bit, and also one reason I'm big on Nick Mingione at Kentucky, by the way. Baseball is very much a warm weather game. Your power programs are almost all in warm weather states. Basketball, not so. You get winters in basketball where you don't want to go out the front door for 4 months because it's so cold. But then because of all the talents concentrated here, it makes it harder to win in the SEC. I mean, look what happened to A&M this year.
You have one bad shooting night in the Alamo Dome in the round of 16 and bye. Basketball is way more of a lottery ticket.
It is.
Than winning baseball.
Yeah, well, you get a couple of big injuries in baseball, and you're the preseason #1, and you face plant and don't make a regional.
I think Billy Donovan, his quote about the NCAA basketball tournament is the best. He just said it's the greatest tournament, like most exciting, but he said it's also the dumbest because you could replay it all over again and have different outcomes.
Yep.
Oh, don't get me wrong. It is the greatest sporting event with the bracket and everything that goes into it. But, I mean, very seldom the last team standing in NCAA basketball is what I would declare the best team in NCAA basketball. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, it is a joyous event for all of us to watch, but it is the worst way to determine the champion.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Very true.
But that's what also makes the tournament just such a roller coaster ride.
Oh, it's magical. I mean,
yeah. If they did 16s against ones and 15s against twos and 14s against in a 3 or 5 game series, like there would be no point.
I think Sooner Cowboys has a great point for us to finish on. And it's not, why are we talking about basketball? It's the best sports are played in the SEC. And I think that is, to completely go off the umbrella, the money fire hydrant that is being spouted out of football. Look at every other SEC sport right now. And I mean, every super regional in softball is like SEC on SEC.
Yeah.
It's, I mean, gymnastics had 4 of the final 8. The men's basketball tournament had 14 teams in the dance, 4 of the Elite 8, 2 of the Final 4, and the title winner. I mean, all of this comes down from the spigot of sports, a spigot of money that comes from football. Period. Exclamation point.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Josh too. Bad officiating in basketball impacts the game more than a bad home plate umpire.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
including, not that I'm bitter, but 2019 Auburn losing to Texas Tech in the Final Four. I mean, I'm sorry. Did I say that out loud? I was thinking it. It was my thought bubble. I may have said it out loud.
You maybe had money on that game, I'm guessing.
Shut your mouth, Graham.
Oh, man. Someone asked why we're talking basketball, because the question came up, is the SEC, does it have better baseball coaches or basketball coaches? Which is stronger, and that's how we went there.
I'm still going baseball.
I'm going basketball.
Yeah, Josh, it was Virginia. I thought that's like Texas Tech.
Yeah, it was.
You've tried to forget it that much, haven't you?
Y'all stop talking.
You just block it out.
Y'all stop talking.
It's the first time I've ever seen our man rattled.
Stop talking. Hey, major flowers to Vandy. That's my takeaway today.
Jake's got a little skin in the game. Played football there. Enjoy your day, Jake. It's been a fun 3 weeks for Vandy fans.
Well, again, it just kind of, like, to me, it just kind of came out of nowhere. Like, they were pretty consistent most times when Vandy is the number 1 or 2 overall seed. Like, it just feels like, okay, this guy, these are going to be the big leaguers. And then this team is just like a really, really good collection of college baseball players. And they're just really good in all phases. Like, they're not really bad in one area.
Here's the weird, like, their pro talent is all young. Like Austin Nye, the kid that started today, going to be a first rounder in 2 years. I think Brody Johnson and Rustin Rigdon are going to be first rounders in 2 years. And let's see, JD Thompson will be a second or third rounder this year, probably second. Who else is like Hawks could be make a major league bullpen, but he's not going to be like a first rounder. Like they're high end guys that are going to be first round picks are all younger, which means like if they come back, you could be looking at them as your preseason number 1 with the right pieces in the portal. I mean, they get Fennell back, but here's the weird thing. Their best hitter is Riley Nelson. Their best pitcher is probably Connor Fennell, and nobody wanted either of those kids much out of high school.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a really good story out there on Riley Nelson about how many teams turned him down, and his JUCO coach was trashing him and told people he couldn't play. Fennell, was just kind of a complete afterthought who pitched at Dayton a year ago.
Chris, somebody asked, best Vandy athletic year since when? Football bowl game. You win it. They go to the dance in men's basketball. Didn't they win?
When they won in 2014, that was Franklin's last year. That was a 9-win team that finished in the top 25 for football. And I think that's when Stallings had it rolling in basketball too, or at least they were decent. They didn't hit the spell of terrible like they were for most of the last decade. So I would say that's your answer.
Yeah. It has been a good year for Vandy, and as Sooner Cowboy says, it's been a good year for Ole Miss too.
Yeah.
And it pales in comparison to what Tennessee is doing.
Yeah. Hey, I know we've talked about this before, the coach of the year thing. We both said when we were having our awards a week ago, don't sleep on Tim Corbin or Mike Bianco for that award. And I guess it's still Schlossnagle because of all the stuff and winning the league. But, man, those two guys are National Coach of the Year a lot of years. And may not be Coach of the Year in their league. And I guess weren't.
That's fair.
But, I mean, this weekend, I think, put on very full display how incredible a job both those coaches did.
Yeah. And Jay, for the Tennessee stuff, you know, like you hear the chatter about Tony V to A&M. Like, number one, you're telling me that Tony V is going to leave Tennessee, like, for two reasons. One, he's the highest paid coach in the game. Number two, you're going to leave one of the best ADs in the country to go work for Trev Alberts.
Well, and go a step further, they've got as good a NIL baseball collective as anybody.
Tennessee?
Yes.
That's not what Tony would say.
Well, but
It's better than top half of the league, but yeah, I mean, I know you know what Tony's going to say.
Right.
But to that end, and somebody was asking the best year of Vandy, I mean, for the love of goodness, since June of 2024, Tennessee has won a baseball natty. Their football team was in the playoff. Their basketball team finished 5th in the country. Their softball team now just got to the
World Series.
Oklahoma City. I mean,
yeah.
Wow.
If you want to book in 12 or 18 months, I feel like they just had the best year of sports that anybody watches to any degree of anyone.
Yeah. Texas is a close second, though.
It is, but the men's basketball was not anywhere close to what the Vols did.
Yeah.
Right.
But
Even to the point that they had to change their coach. I mean, in the Lady Vols women's basketball, I mean, I know we've gone, and it's all my fault. I'm completely the off the rails guy, but man, what Tennessee has done in the last year is mind blowing.
What she did for Tennessee women's basketball, like, she doesn't get enough credit. She had her first child in the middle of the season.
Oh yeah,
and then 2 days later goes back to work and didn't miss a game. Like, that's insane. As somebody whose wife had a baby during basketball season, I don't know how she did that. And her husband is on staff for the men's team.
Parting thoughts.
Can't wait for 11 a.m. Central Time tomorrow.
Me too. I think we'll go live. I think we'll just live stream our reaction and then look at the breakdown. I'm going to do some homework in the morning on the other teams outside the league, so we will have a little bit of stuff ready there. So when your favorite team gets a draw, we'll have a little info for you. And so come in and watch it live with us. My guess is we'll be on at least an hour and a half. There'll be lots to talk about. So we'll do that. We'll start. The selection show is 11 Central, right?
Correct. Yeah.
I'm going to guess we'll go live around 10:30 or 10:45. Just going to depend on everyone's schedule. And then we'll stream it through the show. We'll talk about it. We'll take your questions. Man, great to see a lot of, not just a lot of familiar faces, but a lot of new ones too. If you're new to the channel, this is kind of what we're about. We dig deep. We try not to hot take. We try to have good opinions on stuff that we do our homework on. And that's what we're about. Try treat the people in the chat well and just have some fun talking about the stuff that we're all passionate about. So we're glad so many of you are here tonight. And I think tomorrow could be a pretty big day for us, guys.
No doubt. It should be. Should be a great day for SEC baseball fans.
Yeah, and we're going to be doing regional previews of every team in the SEC that makes the tournament, which I think will be 13. So we'll probably be putting those out starting on Monday. They won't be live, and we'll probably finish those Wednesday because we're going to need some time to research every regional and do it well. So we're going to do that. Those are going to be coming out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I'm sure we'll go live just to talk to you guys, just to do it at some point. Other than that, don't know when yet, but it'll happen. And then when we get to Friday, we'll have live stuff Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and just go wall to wall on this. And I can't wait. I think this is the NCAA. I'm a bigger baseball guy than anything. There's not a whole lot like the NCAA basketball tournament, but I don't know. I might even like baseball better with all the strategy and everything. So this is one of my favorite weeks of the year, and we're going to have you guys covered. So stick around.
Well, it's impossible not to embrace a fan base and a chat group that does not only reference but re-reference Moose Knuckle continually. Yeah. So
nice
you guys
bookend.
are great. So
Yeah.
every time we, I actually think we need to go Chris Moose Knuckle Lee as his tagline right there underneath. But what do I know? I'm just a side guy that's full of crud,
And that's our cue that this is a good time to end the stream. So with it, have a great and safe Memorial Day. God bless you, even you, Jay Greason. Have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow in the 10-ish, 10:30-ish range Central to go live.
I'll be here, Moose Knuckle. I'll be here.
All right. Yeah. All right. See you later.